Chapter 27. The Heart's Lament. Screams rang out from Garton, the healer's shop in the streets of Arunt. Hela awoke, thrashing and shrieking. Scatter and Farah rushed into the room to find her in a state of unmitigated frenzy, flailing and smashing everything in sight. "Senna!" she screamed, wide-eyed and wild. "Where is Senna?" She ripped a bookshelf off the wall, throwing it across the room, then flipping the bed. "Finn! Where are you? Oh, Grom! Where's Finn?" Hela grabbed onto Farah by the shoulders, shaking her violently, her bloodshot eyes pleading with the warrior for solace. "Hela!" Farah shouted, trying to pry the death grip from her shoulders. "Stop it, Hela! You're safe! We're back in Arunt!" "Arunt! No! No! Finn, where are you?" "Hela!" Farah grabbed her by both hands. "Stop it! You've got to stop it!" Tears began to flow down Farah's face. He's gone, Hela! You've got to stop it! He's gone!" Hela froze. Those words, they didn't make sense, yet her heart knew that they were true all at once. Farah clutched her close as Hela slowly sank to the floor, wailing. Scatter reached down to place a hand on her head, then started to chant the words that he had used to calm the Thutans who had lost themselves in the past. But it counted for nothing. Hela's forlorn lamentation continued. Adun rushed into the room, out of breath. Then, seeing the state before him, he placed his hand on Scatter's shoulder. "Firestarter," he said, "this will not do. Grom bless you for trying, but hers is not a passing state. These, dear friend, are wounds no amount of incantation can subdue. She will carry them forever, and today is the first day of that horrible sentence." Scatter's face dropped. "What shall we do now, Watcher?" "For now, son of Grom, we allow her to grieve. It is something that should not be avoided. When time allows her to, we'll discuss the details of her awful tragedy. For I promise you, Holy Grom is not finished with her avatar yet." Ardeen paced the front porch of their family house, fidgeting with her hands, half in thought and half speaking to Fald, who sat beside her on a bench. It's been almost 7 days now," she blurted. "She hasn't eaten anything in almost 7 days, Fald. I understand she's mourning, but someone has to do something for her in this state. It's clear she's not going to take care of herself. Meanwhile, here we all wait for the avatar of Grom, hoping that she doesn't starve herself to death. It's becoming dangerous, Fald. You've got to speak to the poor girl. Force feed her if necessary." "Mom," Fald interjected, "we've been checking on her. She's drinking water at least. If fasting for a while's what she needs, she'll find us when she's ready to eat again. You treat meals like they're air. Not that I'm complaining," he said, patting his stomach. "Oh, honestly, Fald," she scoffed. "You're far too casual about it all. You were there when she erupted. Why?" "Yes, I was," Fald interrupted his mother. "I was there, Mom. I saw it with my own eyes. You didn't. It was almost a week ago, and still it's the only thing I think about." Ardeen paused her frantic pacing and lowered her hands, noting the distant gaze in her son's eyes. "There isn't any way to describe what it was like, Mom. It was as if there was a war happening around us that could only be felt between horrible powers, not people. The air. You could almost taste it in the air. Dread, rage, love, all thick in the air. And when Hela exploded, the light and the heat weren't the worst of it. It was infinite fury, Mom. It filled the skies, and you felt it all the way to the bottom of your soul." Ardeen sat beside her son and hugged him, then pulled back and placed her hand on his face. You're trembling. You haven't talked about it up until now, my son. I don't know how to help. If I could bake a casserole to fix it, I would." She paused for a moment. Would that help? I have lots of deer meat left in the—" "No, I'm good, Mom." A smirk grew in the corner of Fald's mouth. I'm not trying to give you another sad story. It's just I can't understand what really happened that day, and it scares me. It all scares me. Fighting Rayans is one thing, but something else was waiting for us in Epōle. Something dark and evil. I don't know enough about their religion, but I think it was Sol himself. I don't know any more than what Adun has recited about that horrible god, Ardeen admitted. Oh, that's who you need to talk to. Adun! The Watcher is the best one to help you make sense of it. Have you talked to him yet? No, I should. Scatter and Farah have. I just honestly don't even want to remember what it was like there, and, well, I guess not talking about it makes me feel like I have a chance to forget. It's stupid. Oh, Fald, she consoled, pulling her son in close yet again. You're many things, strong, independent, frustrating, but not stupid. You take all the time you need, and if you never want to go back to that wicked city again, you don't ever have to. Thanks, Mom, but maybe that's half of why I feel this way. I know I have to go back. We started something there that can't be stopped now, and whatever it is, I'm a part of it. I've got to go back and see it finished. Somehow, I just know I don't get a choice in that. Ardeen held him tight and rocked back and forth, looking out into the distance through watery eyes. She brought one sleeve up to her face to wipe the budding tears away and froze. Oh, my! She straightened up, turning Fald to see. Hela! After some help from Farah and Scatter, Hela relocated from Garton's shop to the guest house on Jorton's property. The very place where, only a week before, she had changed her mind about letting Senna come on the raid. She barricaded herself in the room they had slept in while preparing for the tournament. For days, Hela lay there, curled up on Senna's bed, trying to stay immersed in what tiny scent was left of him there. Meager though it was, the aroma of her little brother was the last physical vestige of him that remained before he existed only in memory. But it was the memories, both those of his innocent smile and the horror of his last moments, that truly haunted her. If she closed her eyes at all, she was transported against her will to that frozen moment before his death. It permeated her mind like an illness. Hela saw a myriad of different emotions in Senna's eyes: fear, panic, confusion, but the strongest of all was sadness. It was as if he was sorry for her. How could you, Finn? How could you be so innocent in all that darkness? You didn't belong there, among all that hate and fear. I did that to you. I dragged you along with me, and for what? So that the father you never met wouldn't get to meet his son. It's me. I'm the evil that killed you. Hela howled in grief, burying her face in Senna's pillow to muffle her crying. Hours that seemed like years passed in that position when, at last, pangs of hunger eclipsed her pangs of sorrow. Thankful to feel something that wasn't just misery and despair, she swung her legs off the bed and sat up in a hunch. Unsure of what time of day it was, or even what day of the week it was, Hela unlocked the bedroom door and made her way out of the guest house. Walking head low off of the porch and toward the main house, she heard a voice yell out, "Hela!" She recognized it as Ardeen's, but didn't lift her head to confirm it was Fald's mom running toward her. "Oh, Hela, dear girl!" Ardeen threw her arms around Hela's weakened body. "I'm so happy to see you up. We were all worried for you, in there for so long without a proper meal. That's it. I'm breaking out the glazed pork and the cherry ale and the good cheese and the—" "Hello, Ardeen," Hela squeaked, interrupting her laundry list of food items. "Is Farah around?" "Oh, Fald!" she hollered behind her. "Have Farah come to the house, please. Tell her we're cooking the glazed ham. Oh, and that Hela is up." "Will do," came Fald's far-off response. "Now," Ardeen continued, "let's get you cleaned up and inside before I fill your belly with the finest food in the Hallhorn." Fald had returned with not only Farah, but Scatter and Adun in tow. They were all very heartened to hear of Hela's return to the living and were eager to speak with her about what had happened in Epōle. Ardeen didn't seem to mind the extra company as she was already deep in the throes of preparing a monumental feast. With the amount of food she was cooking, she could have fed half of a runt. But such was her spirit when it came to celebration. Anything left over would serve as tomorrow's meals or become food for the hullhounds. What mattered most to her was to love on those she cared for with the finest dishes she could muster. The food started to flow shortly after everyone arrived. Before any conversation started, Ardeen loaded up everyone's plates to the brim. Then, when a little plate started to show underneath the food, she filled it up again. This was a feast that not even Jordan could dent, though he tried his best. Finally, it got to the point where Adun had to decline any more food. "Dear Ardeen," he said, "if there is food in the hereafter, it will have the highest standards to meet thanks to your cooking. But I confess, if I eat another bite, I'll find out how it matches up this day." "I agree, sweet woman," Scatter laughed. "It's a miracle Jordan hasn't grown to the size of a hullhound by now with this kind of treatment." "Oh, he's been trying," Fald added. Jordan huffed at that remark. "Boy child, you'd be lucky to be half the thootin' your old man is." "I'm already half of him," Fald muttered to Farah, who sat beside him. She snorted in response, trying not to choke on her food. "Well now," Adun started back in. "Hela, my dear, I'm so grateful you've now risen from your mourning. It is such a horrible thing to suffer the kind of loss you have, and we all empathize with your pain. I believe I speak for everyone when I say we are all here to support you in your journey back from the brink of despair." Hela looked up. "Thank you, Adun. Thank you all. I don't mean to be a burden. I still don't know how to live without Finn." Her eyes began to well up again. "Sweet child," Ardeen murmured, clutching her apron, "you're not a burden in any way. You're a blessing to me and to Arunt and every other Thootin that lives." "Quite so," Adun chimed in. "Dear girl, it's not an easy thing to become chosen of Grom at such a tender age and for such a terrible task. And at such a critical time as this, no, you're not a burden. You carry the burden of our hope upon you." "I understand," Hela said, looking down at her plate. "But I don't think I'll ever understand why Grom took him from me." "Oh no, precious Avatar, that was not our holy matron's doing. Were it her will, Senna would still be here with us right now, partaking in this wonderful meal. The love you've had torn from you was the workings of the Dark Rayan's god's soul. It was he who cleft this chasm into you, not for your sake, but to spite Grom through you, who are her Avatar." Hela's gaze moved from her plate to the wall behind Adun, staring off in the distance. "That's true," she said. "The Rayan who killed him back in Epōle could have killed me. He should have killed me. Finn was already drowning. I was stuck like a fly in a web up on the Cull wall, and yet he chose Finn. He looked at me first, then he chose Finn." Scatter's flame rose instinctively as his teeth began to grind. "I was too late. I couldn't help him, my dear. Grom take me, but there was nothing I could do to prevent any of it. You and Finn blew past me at a speed I'd never seen anyone move before. Well, anyone until that cursed Rayan following you did the same. I tried to catch up, I really did, but I got there just in time to witness the killing blow. And then, what happened after?" Hela looked over at Scatter. "I don't remember anything after Senna's death. What happened?" Taking a deep breath, Scatter began to tell the story of what he had seen in Epōle. "Well, miss, that's something we've all been discussing ever since it happened. To be honest, no one's really sure why what happened, but I can at least tell you what it was." He leaned his elbows on the table and began to recount the occurrence. "One way to describe it is that you exploded, not unlike Falk or Garden, except the intensity and the resulting light was something else entirely." "What do you mean?" "Well, for starts, the explosion was white, Pure white, like nothing I've ever seen in my life. As bright as the sun in the sky if it burned white hot. And then there's the other way of describing it, the feeling of it. That too was unlike anything I could compare it to. It was like, Fald interjected, like dread and rage and love. Ardeen recalled her conversation with Fald earlier where he had used that description, then walked over and placed a concerned hand on his shoulder. Yeah, Scatter concurred. That's it exactly. All of those things at once, contradictory as it may seem. Nothing is contradictory about that, Firestarter, Adun said. Those three emotions are the prima triune to the essence of Grom. Scatter crooked his head. What do you mean, Watcher? Sitting up with a start, Fald lifted his finger. Fear, anger, and love. His eyes widened as he looked at Farah, then at Hela. Those are the three reasons a Thutan discovers their flame. Precisely so, young Fald. Adun gave him an approving nod. And the reason one can transmit the holy flame of Grom as her child is tied to one of the prima triune. We don't know whether each child can transmit through any of the three, but once they have, that is the primary driver of their flame within them henceforth. Adun! Fald almost yelled. What if a child of Grom had all three of the prima triune flames within them? Well, that has never happened. Once a child has discovered their flame, the manner in which they came to it becomes their only emotional driver. They aren't able to channel it any other way. No, that's not what I mean, Fald protested. Hela, you told me the reason you first wielded was because of anger. Yeah, that's right, she confirmed. And Finn was able to wield after he tried to save you, out of love, Fald continued. Hela seemed to choke back a knot in her throat at the mention of her brother. Was there anyone in our raiding party that first wielded their flame due to fear? Fald questioned, looking at Scatter. Not me, Scatter said. Both Kata and I were anger, no doubt. I was angered too, Fald said. Most Thutans are. The table went quiet as everyone turned to Farah. She sighed. Yeah, I did. I found the flame because of fear, she admitted, her mouth twisting. It was after the explosion in Call 19. I was trapped and abandoned under the rubble for hours until a Rayan trooper discovered me. That's when it happened for me. There you have it, Watcher, Fald concluded. Because of Hela's ability to house multiple flames, and between Farah, Finn, and her own flames that were involved in charging Falk up, she possessed the entire prima triune at once. Adun narrowed his eyes, stroking his beard in thought. Scatter jumped in before him. But wouldn't that mean Falk did as well before his explosion? Indeed, Adun answered, yet he was unable to retain such tremendous flame for long, thus his explosion. Adun continued to stroke his beard, his eyes shifting this way and that. The Avatar, on the other hand, not only retained all the extra flame bestowed into her, but may have been fundamentally altered in that process. If that were true, Scatter began, wouldn't this have happened back at the Beacon of Unity when we first confirmed her as the Avatar? Adun shook his head. Not so. I, as the watcher of the unbroken binds of Irunt, have intimate knowledge of the flames of every one of our town's inhabitants. As young Fald stated, many Thutans find it through anger. We are a passionate people, though there are a few here who have also found it through fear, such as young Farah. But I can say with certainty, before young Senna discovered his flame, there were no Thutans in all of Irunt who wielded through love. It is the rarest and thus the most sacred of the Triune. And Finn was the only one who couldn't wield back at the Beacon of Unity, Hela said. Correct, Avatar. This was the key to what happened. But what actually happened, Adun? I still don't understand how I exploded in white light and survived it. There is still a great deal of mystery surrounding the Avatar of Grom. But from what we have learnt, I feel confident in saying that, if for only a moment, you acted in your true form as the conduit of Holy Grom. Recall the recitation of the first avatar of Thut, how when his dear compatriots were slaughtered before him by the abominable ray, he too shone with bright, brilliant white light, which consumed the Rayan and his ilk. So you're saying I became Grom? Hela asked, her brow furrowed. No, dear avatar, Adun replied. I'm saying that Grom became you. A gasp came from several people around the table. Holy matron, Ardeen whispered reverently. But I'm not Grom. I'm me now, Hela countered. Yes, my dear, that is why every Rayan in Epōle wasn't immolated at once. Our holy matron only channeled herself through you but for a moment. Do you? Hela started, pausing for a moment. Do you think it got that Rayan who killed Finn? I don't know, Scatter interjected. You leveled about 3 whole coals in that flash, but I didn't see any remains either. I'd like to say that means you got him, but that monster was doing things I didn't think a Rayan could do. I'd sooner assume you didn't if we're going back there. Good. Hela's eyes began to blaze red, resolve now replacing her solemn demeanor. I'm gonna find that unholy creature and kill him with my bare hands. Scatter smirked. When do we leave? She asked. Oh my, well, Adun stammered. We have fewer willing now than we did before the raid, young avatar. It will take some time before we can gather the forces necessary to attack Epōle again, I'm afraid. No! Hela shouted, standing. That's not good enough! I'm not waiting! I will gather the flames we need to do it, and I'm not asking your permission, Watcher! Adun stiffened at Hela's forthright statement. Call a meeting of the representatives of the 13 tribes. I want to meet with all of them in one place. Hela's flame began to rise as she was speaking, causing everyone to instinctively lean back. It's long past time for the Thutans of the Hallhorn to do something for the god they say they serve. Her flame began to rattle the table and the floor. I will make them. Scatter's journal. I adore Hela of Kal. What can I say of our avatar that doesn't sing her praises? She is a mixture of Nico and Bran in the same person. And if I'm honest, even reminds me of myself. Or maybe the best portions of myself. The portions I hope people appreciate in me. My only hope for her is that her passion reflects the will of Grom completely. For she is hers in the most literal sense. And being raised apart from a proper Thutan upbringing, I just pray she's willing to let Grom do through her what must be done.